All right, we're back.
We're
Technical difficulties there, but we are back.
Can't keep a good pod down, Jake.
So, as we were saying, Kark was talking about it. Just as we were kind of waiting, and look on Andy Shea's face, we got some skirmish here on the sidelines. So.
Relax, yeah. Seriously. Relax.
All right, safe. Halftime, by the way, at the Patriot League, Lehigh's up 5-4 on Navy. The Patriot League, haven't even got to talk about this yet. Army loses to BU. Fourth in a row. BU beats Army, and that ends Army's, kind of would-be dream season. Army got to number 1 in the country in mid-March, and they're going to miss the tournament. Pretty tough. The Patriot League can throw some surprises, certainly, at people. It looks like maybe had a punch thrown. Coaches come together. So, Army wasn't in the at-large picture, but it certainly opens up the Patriot League for BU. Navy, potentially, if they can win this one. Chance to get back in the tournament for the first time in 8 years. Lehigh first-year head coach. It's wide open, now obviously with Army out of the picture. So, a devastating loss for Army. They're kind of sorting this thing out. On this end, Yale isn't done safe, but it feels about as close as you can get. The way this one's going, Cuse on the board, and kind of I think that look for Shea kind of says it all.
Jake, you hate to see it end like this,
I think.
I had it on mute. I don't know. Did you hear a little
Apparently
bit?
There was a punch thrown. Now we got 2 dudes in the box. This is kind of a bit of just a sketch comedy thing going on right now. Shay's just doing the whole, take the hat off, the fingers through the hair. We got 2 dudes in the box.
Got the hair.
Princeton's
doghouse, right?
Princeton is 6-on-3.
Your money making Mitchell gonna punch it in? Oh wow, man! Princeton's gonna do it again. Eminem, we gotta give. Coach Mitchell's got. We already got a great nickname for him, but we gotta figure out something for Madeline.
Yeah, this is talk about Yale was.
This is 3 years in a row. Final Four thoughts. Maybe not predictions, but I think going into 2022, definitely.
2022, they're their most favorite team in the Ivy, kind of just by sort of default. And they got to the quarterfinals. But even there, you saw the defense kind of have its troubles. Princeton's just going to throw this from the corner right now. 2023, they just kind of by the skin of their teeth, sort of, Shea kind of whipped a magic trick together at the end of the year, but they weren't a great team. And now this, Brandau's last year, sort of the last tie to the championship team in Brandau, going out. Brandau might have been the Tewaaraton favorite 2 weeks ago. And now he might not even be a finalist because they're not going to make the tournament. The defense has just kind of caved this team in. As we talked about, they just have not been able to get it figured out. Here, not necessarily the problem, but offensively can't. Only 10 goals. Yale was number 1 in RPI at one point. Now it fell hard in a week. But kind of Yale and Army. Hammer from is that Stevens? Yeah, Q's kind of chipping away here. Yale and Army, two teams who, I mean, just I guess the poster boy, like you can't peak too early. And Princeton, on the other hand, it's good to peak late. A crazy turn. Princeton's been able to do this. Again, we talked about a couple years in a row. Back in the Ivy League championship game. It's really, I think it's time to kind of talk about Madeline as, he's not in the, you can only get in the gods tier, certainly, because you got to win championships to do that. But I think it's time to talk about Madeline potentially as a top 10 coach in the country. Considering where they were, and making a Final Four, and then last year with all the injuries, still, getting in, and they had a chance. They had a chance, really, maybe should have beat Penn State, and then this year with this young team replacing. We talk about they're replacing so much from last year. You could say what they had to replace in, Bond, Stevens, English. What would have been three of maybe their top 5 players on this team? Bo Pedersen at the short stick D midi. Just really heavy amounts of you look at they throw that graphic up. It feels like in all their games, the goals by class, and it's feels like 70% freshmen, 20% sophomores, maybe 10% seniors, or 5, 6, and no percent, juniors, and none from seniors. If this, we always talk about you mentioned getting in the tournament early, and making a run. I don't know if make a run. We'll have to see. If they right now, they're probably, and Mark just said in the chat, they're probably the last team in the tournament right now. I think they've basically taken Yale's spot. If they can getting in just for this team, with this young team, with all these freshmen, and having that experience, because tournament experience is so crucial, that's going to be huge for next year, and down the line for these guys. And if they can make a run, it's just going to supercharge it potentially. But it's clear now that this is not the last time Princeton made the tournament 3 years in a row is early 2000s. Even Tierney at the end was kind of making the tournament every other year. So this is a pretty fantastic thing he's doing. The recruiting is obviously at elite levels. I think you got to give Princeton it really and doing it to Yale. It does feel especially Cornell losing what they did too. I mean, Cornell losing Adler and Ireland from that team was big. It turned out. And they're going to lose Crosse next year. Probably not going to lose Crosse. I guess how does the Ivy going to do it? Because his freshman year was supposed to be 21. Yeah. So I guess it depends on how things turn out with the Ivy. But I think he'll have another year. Duke has just scored 2 goals in 10 seconds and got the lead back to 5. Could have Crosse back next year. Changing of the guard in the Ivy a little bit with how Yale, they kind of had this will be Yale's first missed tournament since, if it happens, since 2014. I want to say 10 years. You got where Cornell's kind of, putting things together with Busick. If they win, Cornell's going to get a home game in the tournament for the 3rd year in a row. Princeton potentially getting 3 years in a row. And obviously Princeton and Cornell were in the Final Four a couple years ago. Yeah, it does feel like maybe this is a shifting of balance of power in the Ivy League.
Almost like a return to form. Princeton and Cornell kind of been the epicenter for Ivy for a little. Jake, I agree with you in terms of Madeline, top 10 coach. I think you can even throw in the 2020 year. Yeah. The 2020 year, there were that was potentially, arguably, maybe there could have been the best year. Lose all that, have the extra year where they're not playing. Then he comes back in 2022, gets to the Final Four. As you noted, 2013 may have been his best coaching year, just cobbling that together. A team that at the beginning, I think you and I could agree. Like it was almost like trying too hard, almost winning the national title in the first three. We remember that Maryland game alone. It was just like some, but they were able to like pull it together, as you noted, to get back into the tournament, Ivy League tournament, and like get, and then as you probably could have been beating Penn State if like should have been if they were just could have kind of just hold that lead, and if that happens, all of a sudden like another maybe who knows what they do against Army, but like another back-to-back Final Four year, and now you're saying with this team like getting in ahead of schedule just provides so many dividends because like Petro's always said like we love that line, but like the making the tournament every year or making the Final Four year is important because like each time you don't make it, like the harder it is to get there. So like if you're getting there ahead of time, it's just like 1 or 2 steps earlier. Like I just kind of thought like it gives you that added confidence to be like, hey, we already did this. Like where no one expected it. Now you're gonna, as you noted, the recruiting just continues to be at a absolute like apex level almost, and so they're just going to just like keep rearming. It's just almost like the Princeton of the '90s and thousands, like just not rebuilding, just like continuously reloading every year. So kind of gets scary. But yeah, I think if you're a Yale fan, it's not the end of the Bulldogs. They got so many resources there and a program that like has the will with an administration that obviously seems to care about the team and wants to see it succeed. But yeah, it's just a lot more crowded. Like now, kind of always said like kind of got up there when like Cornell was a little bit on the dumps and Princeton was like not post Bates post Tierney and then post Bates, like they're kind of in the wilderness, so had like kind of like an open the Ivy, and now it's just like really crowded.
Yeah, I think it what it does, it sets your culture. Like Duke up 8-2 now. Goodness, Duke was going through uh like period, like when they played that Syracuse game a couple weeks after, Duke was struggling to score 8 goals a game. like uh now this, my goodness. I think it sets your culture. It's like you don't win the national championship unless you're Lars, I guess, at UVA. Um, Even then, that took what, 3 years, and they had to get in the tournament once. Like the first year they lost to Loyola in 2018. No one like just gets it all together in 1 year. You know, like Busick, you could say like he came in his first year and he made the championship, and which is incredible and a remarkable achievement. But Cornell had still like Milliman had helped get the culture back, like get the program back on track by when they made it in 2018 and 2019 they're the last team on the field. In 2020 even they had like they were look poised for a big time run. Um, it, and then Maryland in 2011 with Tillman, his first year they got to the championship, but Maryland had made 6, 7, 8, 9 years of the tournament in a row before that. So Tillman, his first year really took over, Cottle's team really, and then obviously improved on it, because that Maryland had been to the Final Four in a while. But that's the thing is like Maryland had a culture built in, like they make the tournament. And then if you miss, and you saw that with Princeton with Tierney, like it just started sliding slowly. And then like when Bates took over, it wasn't the same Princeton that Bates walked into. And he couldn't obviously kind of get them back on track to this point. He made I think a couple tournaments, but it was sporadic. It's just when you got guys who know how to do it, they pass it on to it's the expectation, the standard. Like we get in the tournament every year, and then they pass it on to the next guys. And of course, that's at the top levels of the sport, what Duke did and what Maryland did for so long. Like it's more like the standard is the Final Four, not just the tournament. And we can like you as a freshman, maybe you play a little bit, or maybe you start, get to go to championship weekend and see what it's like, and then when it's your turn, you just keep it rolling. But it works at the same degree of making the tournament, and so that's what I think. Yale did it, with Shea, and so, but yeah, it's if you miss it, it's really it's tough. Guys don't get that experience. If they do get back, we see like playing a tournament game is it's different. It's different intensity. So yeah, that's why like you always want to get in. You know, like there's benefits to getting in, even if you lose. You know, like it's important. You know, like Maryland this year, like I'll say, like look, I don't think they're gonna do much of anything, but look, man, keeping that streak alive matters. Um, you know, and look, and of course, obviously, here's the thing: we've seen teams, you know, come out of nowhere in this thing. Like obviously, like, you know, just like things can change in a week in this sport very fast. So, you know, that's the benefit certainly too.
It just sneaks up on you. Like you miss it once, and then all of a sudden you lose the senior class that had experience of getting in there, and then you're adding a freshman class that's never been there. Then all of a sudden, like it's just more foreign to get back in there because like you have a larger population of people who hadn't, and then like if you miss it like 2 years in a row, like or have an extended street, like it's just so much harder to get it back up and running. So yeah, you just don't want to like miss those opportunities to like get there. But like I think we're kind of like talking about a lot. It's just like those opportunities of like getting there ahead of schedule before anybody expected it. That like that's what it really can totally change the culture. I think that Final Four run by Princeton, like really changed like maybe the trajectory of Madeline and like the entire like program because like you know they didn't have much success post tyranny even as you noted the late era tyranny and then they get there like I always said it was like this I don't think anyone expected like that was probably like Yale's Final Four to get to and they made it to the quarterfinal they beat Yale to get there so like you know like I'm just thinking of like what how would we think about these programs now if like if like Yale had won that you know Shea's back
Yeah,
you know like
absolutely. Yeah, it would have been huge.
what's time too.
They just pulled. Will Mark just got pulled. Like that's that's wild. Um, Unbelievable. Scenes here. So yeah, Princeton right now, likely the last team in the tournament, which feels incredible to say. Uh, I mean, they were Princeton 3 weeks ago had lost to Brown, who just made a coaching change.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, they're done. Like remember we were like, Princeton, just don't do anything stupid, and then you're done. Well, they did something stupid, and Princeton feels like that. What's that meme that like where it's like, how are you even alive?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it's a young team, man. Like the young team, just like they go to Brown and they got down like 5-6 nothing, and they almost pulled it back, but they couldn't finish it off. And then now they're potentially gonna make the NCAA tournament, which feels absolutely freaking insane. So again, like they are the tipping point. If they take Yale's spot, they're going to be they're like the last bid basically because either Georgetown is going to take the AQ, and bump Denver down to the at-large line where Denver will get a bid, or Villanova will win the AQ, and in which case they just basically take Georgetown's spot. So for Princeton, if Michigan wins the Big Ten and they lose, Princeton's not getting in. But of course, Princeton has their own chance to lock up, a bid, and that's where you get into, what happens if Princeton wins, or what happens if Penn wins and Michigan wins and Villanova wins, and then you're in and Dino, no hat, no shades, he's feeling it.
Golden God, absolutely.
A new haircut, maybe. And that is the kind of scenario where if you're someone like Maryland, you're maybe
Maryland, Virginia too, or just.
I mean, Virginia's got the head-to-head over Maryland, so
But Maryland would have, or what I was going to say, yeah, Hughes is not winning this one here. So,
I don't know. I mean, these ACC tournament games can get kind of wild. It's hard to see, a comeback in this one, but I don't know. I'm not totally willing to shut the door yet. But certainly, it would take a. Well, there you go. Duke 10-0 leading after the first quarter, and they currently got a 7-goal lead. So.
some monster for first quarter, 40 minutes, Jake. That's why I always say TV is gonna win the face-off battle that I have. I'm saying, like, these games, like, if they kind of at that kind of pace, it'd be like a 3-hour game easy.
Yeah, I mean, all the goals just creates a bunch of stoppages. That's 11 goals, and that's 15 seconds, like 30 seconds.
At least, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
so that's,
you got the celebration, you got the guys that get the ball, and everyone gets back to the midfield. Yeah, at least 30, maybe 45 seconds.
So, yeah. Cuse, man, I tell you what, Cuse. I mean, look, they can come back to this. Them getting the 2 seed just. I mean, look, if they win this game, they're going to be the 2. But it's one of those things where, like, you always talk about, like, is the seeding, like, representative of the teams? They don't feel like the 2 seed to me. I mean, and it's not to say because they're not good. They're very good. But, like, this, I think this game is, kind of, I feel like, emblematic of, kind of what Cuse has been sort of all season. Like, there's moments of brilliance. The end of that Virginia game, the Hopkins game, the Duke game. And then there's moments of just like, what on earth is freaking going on here? The Cornell game, the North Carolina game, even though they won, and now this right here. They are just very, and look, in fairness, I mean, you can kind of say that about maybe everyone below Notre Dame. Like, everyone below Notre Dame has 3 losses. Like, and if Syracuse loses, I mean, here they'll be at, 4 or 5? Hopkins is at 4. Virginia's at 4. Penn State's at 3, I think. So I think that just kind of tells you, like, once you get past Notre Dame, it's a free-for-all. Like, it's completely, Notre Dame feels, their spot feels secure. But after that, I mean, it's just who the heck knows? I mean, if you'd ask me who it feels, the 2 seed feels most represented by, I think I'd probably say Hopkins. I think they were just probably the most, like, consistent, maybe the word. Like, they felt most like that level of team throughout for most of the year. But they had their moments. I mean, they lost to Navy, and then the Michigan game, they, like, Hopkins' offense the last, couple weeks has been struggling. So
a lot of people have been saying that, Jake.
Yeah.
Their words, not mine. Yeah. Lack of adjustments. Yeah.
It wasn't good. That's for sure. So
I love the DMs because I was like, I feel like maybe Hopkins doesn't have a killer, and you're like, obviously saved that for like 5 years. At least
I love you say, but Hopkins not having a killer on offense is like a.
Well, I'm trying to. It was a bad job of putting it in that message, but I was like, because I was like kind of praising them for a little while, like not a little while, this entire season, like, oh, one guy doesn't show up, there's another guy, but like, sometimes you just need a dude like that you could just like. And that's I didn't see. That's what I was hoping with like Collison or like that. I felt like those kind of moments where they're like kind of bullying the long close defense, like kind of bullying the attack, like more production from especially some of these bigger. Like I felt like Collison maybe could have been banging back, but like
The Collison one.
Big Ten tournament has been like we've kind of noticed before the weekend, like first the top two seasons don't always fare the best.
2 years in a row, the top two seeds have lost in the semifinal.
Right off of it, yeah. With all 6 members in the pool, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that move to put the buy-in, I don't think is now. You could like maybe it can help. We'll see if it can maybe help down the line. With getting help rest for the tournament, but hadn't helped the last 2 years. There's always like this, like whenever a team kind of loses one of those like amazing players, it's like, well, they could play like team offense now, and the ball can get in a lot of different guys' sticks, and it's like, yeah, that's true. There's also like a counter to that though, like eventually you kind of need the ball to go in one guy's stick.
Yeah.
It's like here, like, listen, man, Maryland's offense, like there's so many things you could like, the message boards are crazy. It's like everyone's got their own person to blame. And the answer is that everyone's to blame because it's a mess, But it's like, if I airdrop Jared Bernhardt into Maryland's offense, it fixed everything. Like, there you go. It's all, like, like it'd be 2021 Jared Bernhardt in this Maryland offense, and they might win the national title. Just put that guy in there, and who, just can run by anyone, and you'd be amazed at how much everything just changes for the offense.
Change your life, yeah.
Like it's and for Hopkins, they are in that position where the offense does a lot of things well, but you saw that game, like, and they do play good team offense. So they do move the ball. A lot of different pieces can chip in. Cuse gets a goal here. Spallina. See that controversy over Spallina not being an all ACC? And I was just kind of like, listen, man, his stats in ACC games are not great.
Yeah.
He's a terrific player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's really good, but like, I guess the counter. I think Duffy made it, and it would have been like Spallina versus Duffy. But Duffy did have some big games, I think.
He could carry that offense.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think Duffy, like, hopefully Duffy's gonna Duffy might win it. If Carolina is like good, Duffy could win it to overtime. Spallina is tremendous. I'm not sure he's at that level. In terms of like ceiling, his floor is incredibly high because he does everything so well. He's such a smart player. Ryan's is calling for Gary Gate to be executed in the town square.
It's a just punishment, Jake.
Don't maybe not get it. Here we go. 2 in a row. So again, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not totally out of this one. I don't think we're totally out of the woods here yet, but I think this one could get kind of crazy. I just got a feeling. 5-5 in the Patriot League, by the way. But yeah, Hopkins, like, you saw that Lehigh just took the lead in their mind. Michigan they went at Jacob Angelus. And it really threw him off his game. And Angelus is a terrific player, but you saw that, like, when Michigan did that and they were physical with him and everything, like, his instinct was to pass always, and but he couldn't make the right read pretty consistently. It was the worst game I think I've seen him play. But like, Angelus his great skill is that he's like a true, he's like a point guard. He's not like a combo guard, he can get for himself, but it's he's kind of similar to like TJ Malone in a way, even though I think Malone's a better Dodger. Sure, but like it's he sets everything. He's a table setter and he's phenomenal at it. But he could not go out there and win for himself. Like, he could not go and like win the matchup and then get everything else unrolling for everybody else. And then Collison, somebody you mentioned him. Look, Collison's a case of he got stuck with the really tough matchup in Bo Pettersson, who is maybe one of the few guys who actually athletically is as athletic, if not more athletic than him. Certainly physical, Pettersson. And what that left them with is that those are the two guys for Hopkins. Melendez has been just kind of banged up, it seems like, all year, though he did have some moments. But when Hopkins gets put in that position, yeah, they don't have a guy who you're going to go to, Hopkins needed to win a matchup. Like, they just needed to win a matchup and then get Michigan actually reacting. But Michigan didn't feel the need to react because Hopkins couldn't win matchups. And that is certainly, the concern for them is what happens if a team can do that to them pretty consistently. In a tournament game. But yeah, they don't have a killer like that on offense, and that's been talk about. They have a lot of great players, but they don't have that one guy who you can get to. Is it in the lineup right now? I mean, I know that Jimmy Ayers is all right. Cuse 9-5.
There we go, Jake.
I know they're very confident in Jimmy Ayers. They got some other young guys, so it could emerge. But yeah, it's not the whole thing, but it's like, look, if you that old, like, do you want a guy who's I don't think you want a guy who's like you're so dependent on, in terms of like a top scorer, like your number one guy. That's what made Wisnauskas like so just like a cheat code. He never needed the ball.
Yeah.
He could play without the ball and the ball could move. But still, if you're like, all right, we need to get in your stick, he could do it. Schellenberger can be like that to a degree. Virginia's problem this year has been that the ball has to be in Schellenberger's stick like all the time. But yeah, if you gave me the choice of like, hey man, do I still want that guy on my team? Yes, I still I don't want to put like all the pressure on him. Like, I want the ball to move and I want but look, I'd still rather have Brennan O'Neill than not. Like, you're giving me the choice. Like,
controversial take. Controversial take.
I still want. Jake says he still wants Brennan O'Neill on his team. I do. I'd take Schellenberger too. Like, it's like I get it. I understand the kind of the sentiments of it sometimes, but it's like, hey man, look, when the other team is shutting you down, you do need a guy, just put that ball in that guy's stick and be like, all right, man. And look, there's not that the thing is that's also is like there also aren't always like a lot of those guys. It's like that's where like Hopkins. It feels like what are the other adjustments that they can make? Because you look at O'Neill. O'Neill's an amazing player. He really is. O'Neill is not like a top 3-4 college attackman I've seen in like my time watching it. Like, he's not Jared Bernhardt senior year. He's not Pat Spencer senior year. He's not Lyle Thompson, or maybe even Rob Pennell. Like, he's amazing. But those four guys were like, if you just give him the ball, the other team's not stopping him. Like Jared, his senior year, or Pat, like those guys, like, yeah, like this ain't like they're an answer for that. I think O'Neill's amazing. I don't think he's that. So yeah, Hopkins. Yeah, I think that's the concern. Certainly is the on the kind of the offensive end. But all these, we did that. Say if we did that segment a couple weeks ago, like how many teams have like weaknesses? Yeah. And it was like everyone's got at least 2, 3. Like, it's who knows here. Like, after Notre Dame, it gets wide open. It really does. And the thing is with Notre Dame, though, and the beauty, guys, of this is that Notre Dame is not 2022 Maryland. Like, they're amazing. Like, they're a great team, but could they be beat? Yes. So it is it's not like what 2022 was, where it's like after Maryland, it's wide open, but also no one's really going to beat Maryland. Like, this tournament could get kind of chaotic, I think. Though also the tournament the last couple of years has tended to be top 4 or 5 seeds only. So there's that.
Duke's still up 9-5.
Lehigh stretched it out to 8-5. Lehigh.
8-5. Lehigh. Well, how much we got left in that one?
We got late third, like minute and a half left in the third.
Quarter left for Navy. Is the Penn game not on yet?
I
don't think so, right?
so, no.
They'll probably give him 20 minutes to get on the field. I was going to say. Seems to be North Carolina tennis on TV right now.
North Carolina tennis on in late May, but not North Carolina lacrosse. No? Early May.
Half in this game we love. How are you feeling? Well, Tigers and Tigers can rematch with the Hens. I think I think I put Towson on the pick'em to win it all. I don't know if that's just biased because I like you, Jake, but I like how they're playing. I like that game against Delaware, a week ago. So I wonder if they can run it back.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close one again. Probably Towson gets to be at home this time, which is certainly exciting. And Towson's offense, man, they really just, they play with a confidence, and a swagger to them because they got a lot of just big time, weapons. Nick DeMayo's been fantastic. Honestly, I'd probably still like to have him in Maryland. Weishar, obviously terrific. Villa Gomez, man, like his for a big guy. The way he use a stick, get separation. I mean, he's terrific. So they got a lot of weapons offensively. I think that probably can be the difference. I think Towson's got some game breakers offensively that can make the difference in a tight game. But look, Delaware. This is kind of Delaware's. This is where they kind of make it happen. I think that's both of these games, like Delaware, Towson, and Richmond, St. Joe's. It's kind of the proven hand versus the, favored, maybe younger kind of Towson's not necessarily Towson, St. Joe's are younger, but comparatively lesser proven. St. Joe's has been to the tournament. Towson has not in a while. Towson has been in the tournament 5 years. But Richmond and Delaware are just like, they got guys who just been there, done that in these spots, It's like Richmond, again, just like every year in a conference championship game. Like, it's over and over. This is where, we talk about it like Taylor Ray, St. Joe's. Are you a killer or not? Because in this spot, like we can say what we want about Richmond and these bigger games against these opponents, and it's merited and it's true. But for the mid-major kind of level, Chamati and Richmond, they're a killer. Like when it comes to this time, they get the job done. And Delaware has become, with what they did to get into a quarterfinal and nearly beating Duke last year, like they're in a similar spot. So it's like for both Towson and behind the back, for both Towson and St. Joe's, it's like you're gonna have to kill them tomorrow. Like you got to finish the job.
And I was just thinking, if you're St. Joe's, after having such a difficult start, having this great run, and I think I don't know if you and I were putting Richmond's obituaries yet, but looked like kind of close at the end, like maybe they weren't going to be able to even get there, and then as you noticed, just Chamati just able to find a way, get in another conference tournament final, and you got to feel like if they're in it, if you're a Spider fan, this is what you want to be in. Like this is kind of a position that they're familiar with, one that they seem to own the moment, and it is what it is against top tier opponents. But when it comes to this point, you're gonna have to take it from the Richmond. And they're not gonna make it easy for anybody, especially at this cusp. I think this is what they feel like. We want to get to this point because this is where we're kind of our comfort level. This is our standard. We want to be at the conference tournament championship game. With a chance to get into the tournament. So this is kind of what their default setting almost. This is what they do at Richmond. So I think that is going to bode well. And as you noted, you haven't been there as often. St. Joe's has gone there once, but like on the opposite end, even from the NEC days, like there's kind of a tendency to like not finish the job despite having like a 1 seed or like a almost like a double digit like winning streak going into the conference tournament, and just not sealing the deal. So kind of have these two like narratives, and Rays has a chance to like change his narrative. If he goes in there, beats Jamadi, like takes it, gets into the tournament, all of a sudden, St. Joe's has got some, a little bit of that juice. So it's gonna be just interesting how that like really, closes out. I still think like despite like DeLuca's like steady hand at Delaware, like there's something about this Towson team that they bang on offense. They can get that ball moving and get it in, and I really liked, and it was impressive way that they kind of sealed the deal against Delaware last a week and a half ago, at Delaware. So despite the lack of experience, recently, Coach Allen has, a little bit of a killer instinct. He was DeLuca for a little while, the CAA. So maybe there's a chance for him to, as we just noted, change that narrative back and, become the captain again. Because it used to be like, the thing is just Towson, Allen, like, they're going to be in there, and then a little bit got away from them, but chance to like reclaim all that right back.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I feel as good as I can about in a game between like two teams of this. Like, it's caliber. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. That one on last Friday was a terrific game. Towson, I think that's the key that gives me confidence for Towson. I think they can make the plays late with the off. Ooh, big save, but mark that save by Dan Daly down for Navy. Lehigh had a wide open time and room shot. Daly made the save high. 8-5, 13.5 left in the game. If Navy comes back, that's the one to look at. That's big stuff. But yeah, the guys Delaware had, I mean, they still got some good, like, Charlie Kitchen and, some of the beat is like some other guys, oh goodness, what a move by. Who was that for Duke? McAdory? Jeez. He just dusted his man. Duke, this is. We always keep doing it. Like this is the Duke you think is the best team in the country. Because this is Andrew McAdory just taking Riley Figueres, I believe, and just putting him in the blender.
It's like that scene in The Hangover.
Not Figueres, but 37 vote for Q's. I thought it was somebody. He just puts like this. He just takes a Q's poll and just puts him in the blender. And when these guys for Duke get separation, they have so many guys who can just like. We talk about it like, okay, we need like game breakers. We need to get to put the ball in a guy's stick and say go get it. They got like 3 of them. Like the thing is, it doesn't happen all that often. Like not all of it. It's just it's sparingly. So that's the tough thing with them. But yeah, when it looks like this, you're like, I think they could beat Notre Dame. This is the type of thing you had in mind when you saw Duke as preseason number 1, which I think we both did. Or you had Notre Dame, but I had Duke preseason number 1. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's mystifying with them. But
peaking at the right time, maybe.
They lost to Carolina last week. I don't know.
Now the peak starts today.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if they play Notre Dame, we'll see. I don't know. Oh, Q's coming back here. There's a goal. All right. They're hanging around with it. Q says. I mean, look, this is a 4-goal game halftime. That's by no means over.
I think, that's a victory for Q's. With time to maybe cut to 3. If they get into 3 or 2, that's almost like coming into it with a 1-goal lead. Swalina, second goal.
I think Q's this will do. Q's needs to really. Q's has the advantage of the middle of the field with Stevens and English potentially, like some of their polls. Like I think Cuse needs to up the tempo. Um, Duke is not a team that excels when it's a track meet. Duke is about 6-on-6. Just because we talk about putting the guys they have, you know, up against you. And Mason Cone has had success at the faceoff dot tonight. Or kind of at least he feels like he's kind of been getting the better of Naso a little bit in the second quarter. So that's pretty big. Lehigh up 9-5. BU Lehigh pitch. I'm pretty sure I said that BU and Lehigh were the two teams I didn't. Wasn't pick. I mean, I might have picked BU. I think but I was like Army, Loyola, or BU, and now it's gonna be BU and Lehigh in the Patriot League final. It looks like. What a conference this year, huh?
Mm. I'm thinking of the 1996 Bucknell team that always people reference in terms of like bad beats of almost as bad, if it's not worse, for Army, like having been number one, undefeated in non-conference, and then just to get like shipwrecked, by a conference that probably wouldn't put in the top three, I think, this year for sure.
It's really hard because I'm trying to kind of on paper. I think this was the most. It was the most star-studded Army team, I think. Though that's hard to say. The 2019 team had like Surdick and Nick Turn and Beretta. But in terms of like, fire. Look, it's the best offensive team Albrici's had, I think, for sure. And then you have Coletti at the faceoff dot. You still got AJ Pilot. Like the big names are there, but I feel like in the end, they sort of wound up being as kind of like unbalanced as Army teams used to be. Just this time it was the defensive end. Like after Pilot, their shorties, like I mentioned, like were not great this year. I remember even the Cuse game, even though they won. Like Army, they really looked like they lacked foot speed on the defensive end to keep up with Cuse. Oh my gosh, O'Neal. Goodness gracious. Whew. Weight roomed. And I feel Army was O'Neal. Not so. O'Neal's gonna have if the Duke doesn't win the tournament, O'Neal's gonna have a fascinating legacy. I feel like, because I mean Boyle mentioned this, like he has to win a championship, but you look. It feels like like people are gonna go back in like 10, 15 years and look at O'Neal's numbers and be like, what the heck did we ever talk about this guy for? Like it's like this year. It's like they just said he has 46 goals, and the way we talking all year is like he has 25. Like just the way, and you won the Toraton. So like I feel like there's this kind of like feeling. I think it's definitely true, in some ways. To like, sort of feels like it's kind of incomplete with him, and not it hasn't maybe been what everyone expected, and yet also, you just look at the production, and you're like, man, what are we talking about? Like he's just and he won a Toraton, and like, it does feel for sure like. If they don't win the tournament, if they win the tournament, it's there's nothing left to say. You won a championship, you won the Toraton. It does kind of feel like it's gonna have to be like one of those like you had to live through it things, with like to really kind of get the full context of his kind of college career. For the record, I don't put a lot of the blame on him. I put a lot of the blame more on Duke, utilizing him. But it will be I think interesting. Because people have kind of been talking all year like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not feeling quite. He doesn't feel like the same, and he's still got 40. He's gonna have 50 goals by the end of the year. Anyhow, with Army, their shorties, yeah, like I think struggled. Goalie was the big one. It wasn't a traditional Army. They tried two different goalies this year. When is the last time Army's ever had like played two different goalies in a season? It was Fort Knox last year, and then Wyatt Schupler and Beretta. Like they just go back years and years and years for Army. It's the first time Army's had a weakness in goal in a long time, and you have a weakness in goal and you have a weakness at shorties. That's gonna make your defense not great. Like that's just it's what Cornell's had this year. Um, Army at least has like Pilot, a lockdown kind of long pole, but um, yeah, Lehigh goes up 10-5 on Navy. I can't believe I picked Navy. What was I? Why did I do that? Like what was I thinking? I just Amflo, yeah, Navy just allergic to good things.
Could have happened, right?
They're just allergic to like continually good things happening to them.
This would have been a great year. Army gets depressed for like 9/10 of the season, and then maybe sneaks in with a cheeky little Patriot League
On their own, on Army's own field.
That would have been just.
But yeah,
Chiefs down 5 at halftime.
gonna have a man up.
And tied up. Do we already have a Quakering?
Quakering after dark. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, Penn. Look, yeah, like Penn. We kind of have sort of stopped talking about them in the context of the tournament, and I mean, they're not. I don't see them as having an at-large case still, but I mean, look, it's like they still control their own destiny. To get at the AQ if they can win this game, and then they'll play Princeton Saturday. The Ivy League tournament. See, Cornell Ivy League tournament's not necessarily kind to teams on their home field.
Mm.
I think I remember Brown a couple years ago. There's been some others. Ivy League tournament is also generally not necessarily kind to top seeds either. So yeah, I wouldn't be, not count the chickens yet for Cornell by any means.
Dude, how does pick a count for conference tournament? Because I definitely didn't pick one for BU Army because I thought I lost like Colgate and Loyola, so I was like, yeah, but like, can I still pick a Big 10 final?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then,
yeah. I think we can do if your semifinalists both lost, you can still just put a yeah, just I think we can just switch them out. Just pick what the game is. Yeah, you'll lose obviously the semifinal, but points for that. But you can get the point for the championship.
All right. Yeah, Michigan, Georgetown, Towson, Princeton.
Michigan, picking Michigan safe.
Just, I don't know, man. Maybe something with these Wolverines in this conference tournament. I think also on Ohio State that would be kind of good for to be the added bonus like winning on the arch rivals field, but 1-1 Cornell and Penn with the ball halfway through the first. This is what Penn wants, right? Like a 2-1 game halfway through
the Cornell game. Penn beat Cornell in the double OT was it? The regular season. Cornell is a slower paced team than Princeton is, and especially Yale. Like it's more, I think it's a better matchup for Penn in terms of trying to pull the upset. So, yeah, I think certainly it's definitely what Penn wants. Kind of hitting. Feel like we're kind of slowing down a little bit here. We got halftime of the ACC semifinal. Duke 11, Syracuse 6. We've got Lehigh running away with it in the Patriot League semifinal, and Penn Cornell was at commercial break. Just came back. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I feel something with Penn State. I think this is a team hitting their stride. Um, if you caught me with the right, I'm kind of buying in with them. I think I'm feeling them for the Final Four. Um, I really now the thing that obviously concerns me is what happens at faceoffs with this game, because Michigan could win a lot of them. Um, but that happened in the first game, and Penn State kind of really balanced it out. And I'll say it was Michigan. The offense wasn't great against Hopkins. You know, Hopkins also made a lot of mistakes. So like some ground balls definitely kind of went. Uh, got Scott Kemp's Michigan SID. So he's checking in from the Dublin, Ohio Embassy Suites. Go blue. Um, so yeah, I think I feel like Michigan played better last year when they were winning these games. But I mean, it doesn't matter. They won. So like, like I don't, like, uh, like, um, so it's gonna be good. It's good. Yeah, it's a fascinating game. I think I definitely, and again, there is the desperation, fact. Like Michigan's desperate, and they play great when they play desperate. They just they got of energy and vibe certainly in these games. Confidence is a good way to think of it. Cornell ties it up too. It's a big thing. Hunter Taylor did play really well for Michigan. I thought that's key. It's like if he can play well, because you know what Frasian's going to give Penn State. He's going to give him 16, 17 saves. So it's yeah. It's going to be going. I'm kind of vibing with Penn State right now. With what they've got, the offense, and how the defense has played better. Looks like a pretty decent crowd at the Cough tonight, um, which is good to see. Uh, so, but it's gonna be a good one, yeah. Georgetown Nova. Are the people gonna show out safe mainline? I mean, Villanova's at home. Can they get how many? Can they get the students in there? Like they gotta. I think like hand some promotion. I don't know, free. Like it's just, like can they do like Notre Dame does? I guess it's technically like run by the Big East, so no, it's not up to really Nova. Um, I would be like, do what Notre Dame does. Like just like free chicken sandwich. Just like get them all in.
Bring your sticks. Tell the kids to bring their sticks and balls.
Like
mom, dad, grandma, bring everybody.
Buy one get four. I don't like like
Nobody can rally when it's time, especially when they're like when there's a winner on the line. Like as you know, the basketball team but yeah, they could get a good crowd. Like if the weather like holds up a little bit, like just because like it's many of the people live on campus. School's still like in session with finals and everything. Like I think,
yeah, I hope so.
and an unexpected potential, especially the possibility of beating Georgetown. Like that could, it is like with certain rivals, like Georgetown, Nova have like just a history, just it's more basketball related, but yeah, I'm sure that they would relish the opportunity to maybe take them down on their home floor or home field.
This is like this game feels like such an encapsulation of the Nova program. Like they are. You got to get like Corrado. Like what I remember this year, I was saying like it felt like this could be the year the bottom fell out for Nova, with how they lost offense. At the start of the year, it didn't look great, but yet again, they come back, they rally, and they have a shot to make it to the NCAA tournament. They're a top 20 fringe team, just as they always are every year. mean, they're the most like genuinely one of the like three or four most consistent teams in the country. Like, I mean, they're just like
Mhm.
they're never bad. They're always good. But the corollary that the counterpoint is like they just don't get over the hump enough. You know, it's only happened for them once in the last like decade, and so the script would say that Nova gets the big win over Denver, and they're at home and they got a chance to win, and get in, and they lose. And this is Georgetown's you know playground. They've won. I mean, how many schools ever have won six straight conference tournaments? Like, I mean,
Mm.
that might be a record. Georgetown's going for six in a row. They won five. It looked like Providence had them. Shout out to Bobby Benson, Providence. Like, they really made some big strides in Big East play this year. Beating Nova, almost beating Georgetown. It was really tight, that game. Georgetown, they found a way though. Like, this was what they kind of do. They found like this. That's what, again, we talk about consistency, culture. Like, that's what Georgetown has. So the question ultimately is, like, can you flip the script if you're Nova? Like, if they lost, everyone just be like, all right, that's Nova. Like, that's kind of what happens. But if they win, I mean, it would be what an unlikely kind of all the kind of more flattered talked about Nova teams that didn't get over last year's Nova team that was really look like they had a shot at large for until late in the season. Um, uh, so yeah, I think it's hard to look past Georgetown on that spot, but yeah, I hope Nova kind of show out and give their team a boost. Ooh, stick goes flying. Um, um, which game are you most excited for tomorrow, Safe? It's a good slate.
Oh, I I guess Michigan, Penn State.
Yeah, I mean Michigan Penn State just because it has the at large sort of um,
Yeah.
kind of that, but and I think it will be a good game. Um, One thing that's crazy for Michigan is these kind of wins when they've done it in this like Big Ten, like they like winning by like multiple goals. Like 3-goal win over Hopkins really just kind of choked them out towards the end. Last year dump truck Maryland in the Big Ten championship. Um, Penn State game was close, but like they pulled away late, and then Ohio State both years I think they got them pretty comfortably in the Big Ten quarterfinal. Um, like they're not. It's not like they're like like kind of like Cinderella in this kind of thing, but like last second, like they're just beating teams. The last 2 years they've done this. Um, so I think yeah, certainly that's interesting. I think Michigan Penn State feel like because it has the most stakes of any game. But I'm really liking that double dip, the A10 and the CAA. I think those two games are gonna rock.
No,
Um,
yeah, for
I
sure.
think Richmond St. Joe's was a great game last weekend, and I think it'll be that way again. And then Towson Delaware was also a great game. Those are two about as good as you can ask for. You know, um, mid-major conference tournaments. I mean, you got the thing with the majors this year is that the big teams. There wasn't a lot of chaos. So you got Towson Delaware, you have Richmond St. Joe's, the America East after Albany, even I guess even including Albany, has been just like all the teams are kind of close. But you got Albany, Vermont, so you got like 1 versus 2 in a lot of these mid majors. That I think really make it some of these games exciting, and you kind of get the best. You're going to get the best of the conference in the conference championship.
Oof. She's cut it to 4, back up to 5 by Duke.
There's always the thing with the big comeback, is the energy you got to expend to get there. Is going to make it tough if you could eventually even get it tied, and that's going to make it really tough on Cuse if this gets to like the fourth quarter.
Oof. That's Big Brennan. So who would you say has a more difficult chance of getting out of the first round? Just because I saw your one tweet and I was really interested. Maryland or Virginia?
Goodness, might play each other. I mean, potentially. I think Virginia's got a better shot. Both Maryland's issues are just so clear at this point. Like they're just not going to score goals. Like, Weirman is the thing with Weirman is like he kind of like it takes him like to get into the game. Like it's like in the first half it's pretty tight on face and he like grows into the game. The problem is that Maryland needs him to be great for like the entire game. Like Maryland needs to play with a lead. And they just can't seem to get a lead. Like they're just they're playing from behind or they're in a situation where like the first half of these Maryland games, like against Hopkins, against Penn State, like the possessions are even. So it's like, yes, eventually Weirman kind of like gets going with it. But by the time he's done it, they're already behind. Like they're behind, how many goals the defense just broke down yesterday. They were behind 3 to 4 goals to Hopkins. Like they build themselves a deficit and Maryland cannot come from behind. They're not built for it. So Virginia, at least, like, you can see it. Like, I mean, their issues feel, both teams' issues, I feel like they feel kind of turned, like, I don't know, someone's just off with Virginia right now. But if Nunes plays great, and you get, a big time game from Schellenberger, like, I can see, it happening for the Cavs. The thing with both of these guys, like you can't count them out, in the tournament. Like Virginia, with Lars, they've only lost in the first round once. Maryland with Tillman only lost in the first round twice. We've seen Maryland look cooked at times, and then Tillman just kind of like they get in the tournament, something happens. Go back to 2019. Maybe bottom 3 kind of Tillman team loses to Hopkins twice, gets kind of blown out twice, has to go on the road to Towson, and they win, and then they get to the Virginia game, and obviously that game didn't fit. But like they were, I mean, right there, they should have made the Final Four again. I remember 2015, Maryland lost to Hopkins at home in the rivalry game, and then they lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten semifinal. They went in with 2 straight losses, and then they beat Yale on that, with the controversial goal. And they were down in that game. They were down by, 3 to 4 goals entering the fourth quarter. They come back, then they just blow out Carolina in the quarterfinal, and they get back to the championship game. There's been these moments it's been a bit now because for the most part of the last, almost decade, Maryland's just been like a top 2 or 3 seed, and so they, we all expect them to go far. But remember, early Tillman was just kind of these magic trick Final Fours, like he just kind of would pull it out somehow. I don't see that, but again, the tournament is different. Maryland has that experience, and Tillman is Tillman. Same with Lars. So I would give Virginia a better shot, especially because it's probably more likely they play at home. Maryland's going to go on the road. I guess maybe if Cornell loses, but So that's my guys that give Virginia a better shot. But yeah, I don't know. Something seems just not. It's not there with Virginia. Um, you know, uh, I don't. I don't know what it is. But I don't doesn't feel what it's been. Like I mean, this is 4 losses in a row. I don't know that's ever happened in Lars. That's never happened in Lars' tenure. So definitely, yeah, they're gonna be interesting teams to watch. Those that kind of, 6, 7, the 7, 8 seed those 2 games. I think.
Oh man.
What we got?
Doubled them up.
Ooh.
Duke up 14-7.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I've ever seen Gary Gate clap. Dyson Williams, 47th goal season. I think Brennan scored his 4th. He's got 48 now in the year.
He's a lot of that. A lot.
just pouring it on. Jake, Penn Quakers are up 3-2 on Cornell.
Indeed. In the second quarter. Cornell Penn's doing a good job of, packing the interior, like forcing Cornell into kind of, dodges up top. Everything's kind of up top right now, not a lot behind the net. And Cornell's trying to jam the crease and not able to. That looked like maybe a penalty on Penn, but in the crease on Cornell. So Cornell's just kind of jammed the interior, and Penn's knocking a lot of balls down, a lot of tips, some Cornell turnovers. Kirst hasn't really got it going so far for Cornell. Penn just threw it away themselves. Duke now man up.
What's going on?
I think this is Cuse's punishment for this Jersey matchup.
Who would be the most surprising automatic qualifier?
Is it Michigan or Villanova? Villanova.
Yeah, Nova.
Yeah. After that, I think it's probably Michigan. I mean,
given who they had to get through.
Yeah. Oh man, how'd that ball just handcuffed? Carroll in goal for Penn. Just went off his body and in. I mean, would you be surprised if Richmond or Delaware won? I mean, Richmond honestly might be the favorite.
Not surprised if either of those two.
No,
I would be a little surprised at Delaware just because I think Townsend, this could be their return to form, for them a little bit time.
folks have been asking all year saying that Townsend is back.
That's what, a lot of people are saying that,
A
Jake.
lot of people are saying it. They're coming up to me.
A lot of people are talking about it. So just a little bit surprised if Delaware won, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I hear you. Richmond won. Like that's kind of what they do. They get to the conference tournament and they win.
And then the other one, like the America East, Penn up 4-3. America East. I mean, America East and NAAC are like just nothing would surprise me in those two leagues. Like I'm not gonna. I know Albany's the 1 seed and everything, but like I wouldn't be surprised by Vermont, winning. And then what you got? MAAC is Sacred Heart against Manhattan. I know again Sacred Heart's been dominant in MAAC play, so certainly be an upset, but it's the MAAC. I mean, I ain't gonna I ain't gonna be surprised by anything that happens there.
15-7, Jake.
Yeah, man. ACC top 3 seeds might be. Ooh, man, high heat. Penn up 5-3.
Quakers, Jake. Anything this week change your mind? Twarton winner?
I'll be honest, safe. I hate to kind of like. I don't really think I've considered the Toraton at all.
I was just gonna say it feels like almost like can't think of it.
It really feels like it's not irrelevant isn't the word by any means, but the most sort of
Afterthought?
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe because there just isn't a clear favorite. It's felt so wide open. I think some of that is, to me, I would say if you ask me, look, the Toraton is who's the best player in the country. I don't know who the best player in the country is, to be honest with you. I think if you were to kind of, at the beginning of the year, it was O'Neill, Schellenberger, Kavanaugh, Kirst. I don't feel like either of those guys has had their best year in college. Pat Kavanaugh, I think, had better years. Maybe, either last year, his, maybe 2021, he was very good. Brennan, I think, was better last year. Schellenberger, I think, was better. Schellenberger, I'll say, has been pretty consistent all the way through. Maybe better last year, though. Kirst, I think, was probably a little smidge better last year. Then you had, I know, Zappatello was in there for a bit. I think he probably was better in 2022, maybe. And then 2023 last year before he got hurt. Goalie, I mean, I know Pat Cav was talking about was boosting up Liam Entenmann. Again, I don't think this is Liam Entenmann's best year. It's been good, certainly, but not his best year I've seen from him. Uh, Jack Frassian, maybe, like, I think part of it, I think, is the who have been the top teams. This is where I think it's sort of maybe a helmet bias. If you ask me who are the most pivotal players to their team this year, it would be T.J. Malone and Matt Brandau. And Yale might be done. Either way, they've been kind of back end top 10 team, and then Penn State, has just kind of been that 6 to 10 range pretty much all season. The tournament really is a year where sometimes they get criticism because it feels like the tournament, sort of decides it. I really think this is definitely a tournament sort of decides it kind of year. I just don't feel, what a save. I just don't feel like there's an obvious name. I don't really, it hasn't been something I've kind of thought about. Whoever wins the tournament to me, I think is, or whoever I guess does the best in the tournament feels like they probably have earned it.
Kavanaugh?
I'd say I could see Kavanaugh as they kind of do this lifetime achievement thing sometimes. I could see that. I don't. The thing is, I feel like Chris Cav has been just as pivotal in some ways with their offense. He's been terrific this year.
Pat's been overlooked his whole life.
It's very, very true. He was he bet on himself.
Not in the lacrosse hotbed, just made his own way.
He had all the pressure of being the overlooked brother in a famous lacrosse family. Mike Murphy's got a great head of hair, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Like you just kind of forget about that, but because he sometimes wears the hat, but he's got terrific hair.
The Corrigans, the Busiks, they all get there, but of course.
But Pat Cav, just what an underdog story. Anyhow, I'd like to see Penn State make a run and Malone win it. I think he's had the original cross commission bump. Granted, meant saying T.J. Malone was the next guy up in April of 2020.
Talk about a preseason prediction. Right after
he was the guy who was going to take it over from Grant, and then he had injuries, and the first couple years they really struggled, and they just kind of put it together last year. If Duke or Notre Dame win the tournament, it'll go to Kavanaugh or Brennan. If they don't, I think it leaves it kind of open.
Got a lingering shot at Gate there after Duke scored their 16th goal.
Is Duke going to 18-7 Syracuse before the fourth quarter?
Man, goodness, that'd be. That'd be something. Safe. I'll give you this.
Yeah.
After Notre Dame, do you feel confident in anybody as far as the Final Four team?
This Duke team. This is the Duke team we were talking about a month and a half ago, Jake, when we were like, and I was like, if they put it all together, you're like, have we ever seen it this year? I was like, and I tried to make a case that against the teams that were like, not.
I was never.
You're
right.
But they just embarrassed us both because we started to get on my side and then they scored 4 points and you're like, Safe, I'm never going to listen to you again about Duke.
That stretch, that Syracuse loss, I was like, throwing it. I never gave up on them as a Final Four team. I feel like I sort of get like on the idea of like seeing this Duke team. You know, this is the because like the only time we really seen it was against Virginia, and it's
This
like
is an apex
all right.
predator Duke team that was like
This is the best team. This is the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Like no, like listen, no offense, no full respect to Notre Dame. I would take this Duke team I'm seeing right now over any team in the country. Like I would pick them to win the championship. The problem is I feel like I'm just as likely to see them play Towson next week and somehow wind up in a one-good game. Brother, if Towson beats Duke, you're never gonna hear the end of it. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but like,
no man. I mean, this is yeah. If you're saying who my confidence, that Penn State team
they
that I
lost
saw
to
last
North
night.
Carolina last week.
Right?
They lost to North Carolina last week.
No, exactly. No, for sure. Duke merited a lot of the questions we had. This Duke team, that Penn State team that we saw last night, that team, I'm not like confident to make a Final Four if I see that. Like, yeah. I got a lot of questions on Hopkins now after last night. That's for sure. Virginia, I don't think got it into them this year. Maryland, as much as I love Tills, I don't think they got it. Obviously, they don't have like a title contender in them this year. I don't think. No. Probably not really late 8 run in them. Maybe Princeton. I don't know. Just like putting it together, just like really hot. Because like I feel like they have an offense. Like maybe there's like that defense kind of could like put something together. But yeah, like this Duke team in Penn State, like outside of Notre Dame, that I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see them like making a strong run to the Final Four.
I think it's Duke, Penn State, Hopkins that I kind of feel the most maybe confidence in. Cuse, I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting. Also with Cuse, you have to account for. Yes, they do have the Princeton guys. But other than that, first time in the tournament. That's big. Is for Cuse. Yeah, I just don't. But I don't feel like if you told me they were going to lose in the quarterfinals, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like or if you told me, I don't know, Penn State's going to play Richmond in the first, I'd be like, oh man, I don't know. Like I don't know. Or Syracuse is going to play Towson. I'd be like, I give Q's favor in that one, but Towson can score some goals, man. I just don't know. Notre Dame. Also, I'll say this: if Virginia does figure it out, you think Notre Dame wants to see Virginia again?
3 times now.
I'll go back to that stat. The only coach Lars or Tillman have lost to in the quarterfinals is each other. Like they're that quarterfinal Virginia, man. We always talk about it. Like that's their spot. They would relish being there. Like, look, I think Notre Dame is a horse for sure. They're definitely the favorites to win the championship, but that does feel like one that I don't know.
It's just like trying your luck one too many times. That's how I would feel like. The one time Virginia is one that matters most.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Mark was mentioned in the chat that freshman for Cuse and 21 have tournament experience. I don't know how many of those guys are like actually that were freshmen on those teams actually play. Hiltz, but other than that, I can't remember any other guys who played in that Georgetown game on this Cuse team. Because if you look at the Cuse guys, like on offense you have Spallina, no. Muley did, I think, play for Lehigh in 22. But like Leo, no. Thompson, no. Roa, no. Mason Cone is got like D2 kind of, or D2 experience. Billy Dewan, no. Sam Alexo, I don't believe, played in that 21 game.
The Prince. You've already said the Princeton
Yeah, the
guys.
Princeton guys. Will
Yeah.
Marks
They
never
don't
played the
count.
tournament. Like Figueres, Dwan. Yeah, like I don't. Matt Wright played for Carolina in 21. I think he might have. Yeah. So they got some guys sprinkled in, but it's not uh, not the group I would I mean not it's not a lot in comparison to if they play a Penn State team who obviously made the Final Four last year, or even if they get I don't Georgetown even to some degree so uh, that could certainly a factor. I mean, yeah, if Duke is the 2 seed and their 7 seed is Denver, I think you probably feel pretty good about that. I'm not sure Denver gets into this. Denver feels like the seed that's most on upset alert. I think. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, not playing that great in the season. The Providence game was definitely probably a shocker. Then they lose the Nova game. Arguably, the Georgetown game wasn't that great either. They came back and won it, but just haven't been playing that well post like last third of the season. I would think. Maybe just like the added like pressure of like being in this position for the first time, like probably like 5-6 seasons for Denver. Started really hot, and then maybe just not being able to close out as strongly as they want. And now you're going in to Selection Sunday with first round home game kind of in the air, if not out of your hands now. And then now you're looking at like, oh man, we're gonna have to go on the road too. So I mean,
Being at home for them, all can be an advantage, for sure. I mean, with the altitude and stuff, but it's not as if teams haven't beat them at home in the tournament. Loyola did it 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Towson did it a while back. Their offense is just really if you stay out of the penalty box against them, they are going to struggle to score. Like they really struggle to score 6-on-6. Like when Nova stayed out of the penalty box, they shut them down. Like it was the man ups for Denver, and that was even going back to the beginning of the year. Those Hopkins and Cornell games, it was teams taking penalties against them that let them back in the game. But their offense has not been. I mean, it's just they've struggled to score in Big East play pretty consistently. So I don't know. I think their offense in a tournament setting feels like a real liability. What was it? The first game against um, you know, Providence. Remember what was that? Like a hockey score, 6-4, 7-5, something like that. The Georgetown game, yeah. I mean, that was definitely a defensive struggle. The Villanova, remember the first Villanova game? That game was really like 3-2 at halftime or something like that. Then they kind of exploded a bit. But they had problems with Nova both games this year. So yeah, I don't feel like they are. Penn going up 7-4. All right, so Penn. Michigan winning that's kind of the nuclear scenario. That gets Maryland in trouble. That gets Cornell in trouble. I think Virginia would be safe, but maybe you include Virginia in there. But Penn and Michigan both being in play going into the championship games is the nuclear kind of scenario in terms of what could happen with the bubble. That would throw a lot into question for sure. And worth considering. I mean, look, it's Penn, so both ways you never really know. But Mark just said Cornell falls to 12th in RPI if they lose this game.
Oof.
So that forget that. Maryland would be fine then. Cornell would be Cornell would be 12th, and RPI would be, whew, brother.
Devastating.
That's
Yeah.
devastating is a good word. um, that is a good way of putting it safe. Um, yeah, I'd put Cornell. Uh, I think they could. I think Penn. I think both we could have a situation where uh, I mean Princeton wins the Ivy League. I think they've taken Yale's spot. Certainly the way it's kind of played out. But you could have Penn taking Cornell's spot and Princeton as well. The Ivy could go from be one bid. Um, yes, certainly. And again, I'm not I'm gonna put this. Goldstein spot. I'm not putting this one in the column for Penn either way. I've seen too many Penn games in my lifetime. Um, but man, that is that's not pretty. Um, for what it do for Cornell. So we'll see kind of how this game plays out.
17-8. He stops the bleeding. Another one. 17-9.
Don't call it a comeback.
Here they come. Luke Roa.
Seven 4 Penn at the half. Is where we're at right now. Let me just get the RPI up right now. Notre Dame, Duke, Syracuse, Hopkins is 4, Virginia is 5th, Penn State is 6th, Denver is 7th, Maryland is 8th, Cornell's 9th because Georgetown's moved into the top 10, Yale's down at 12, Harvard is the tipping point team, though I don't really feel like that's going to have much relevance this year with the way things are shaking out. If Duke beats Syracuse, the RPI will become Duke will be 2, Syracuse will be 3, Hopkins will be 4. I believe, or actually, let me. Pardon me. Actually, let me get. I had it incorrectly. Hopkins will move above Cuse to 3. Top 10 would still be as it was. And again, Harvard would be the last team. That's if Duke beats Cuse, which certainly looks likely. And then if Penn beats Cornell, you would have. Let me get back to it just here. You would have Penn up to 9th in RPI, which would certainly be something worth keeping an eye on. Cornell's down to 12. That's just as you said, safe. Devastation.
Absolutely.
Is a good way of putting it. How that would play out. You think they just? You think they just go RPI on the top four? Like, because Hopkins Duke for the three, or Hopkins Syracuse rather for the. I mean, you know, you got Duke wins this game, and Duke has 2 top 5 wins, 3 top 10 wins. Hopkins would have uh, just 1 top 5, but 4 top 10 wins as it stands right now. Um, Duke would also have 6. I think Duke probably would have the advantage over Hopkins. Syracuse would have 3 top 5 wins, which feels hard to ignore, but that's all they have. After that, what a weird resume. Syracuse beat 3 top 5 teams in RPI, nobody else. Hopkins would have 6 tops, double the top 20 wins they'd be heading RPI. I kind of wonder if they might just, Mark says he'll have Notre Dame, Duke, Hopkins, Syracuse tomorrow. Yeah, I kind of wonder if they just sort of, the committee does that sometimes when they feel like, we're not sure how to split this. We just go, all right, just follow the RPI order.
It's clean. Yeah, they got the numbers over to support you themselves.
Yeah, I could see. I could see Hopkins. Yeah, them just keeping Hopkins over. After that, it gets kind of, crazy because you got Virginia 5th. Penn State 6, Denver 7, Maryland 8. Virginia has 4 top 20 wins, and 3 of their 4 top 20 wins are 15, 19, and 20. Virginia, how about this? Say Virginia beat the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd ranked teams. It's a lot of good wins, but not a lot of great ones.
A lot of tipping point teams there.
Yeah. Penn State, as it stands right now, has 5 top 20 wins, and one also Maryland. I think you'd have to. Penn State does have that bad loss to Colgate, which might come into play, kind of haunting them, in terms of just kind of how it felt. But I think Penn State would have a good argument over Virginia, potentially. Especially if Penn State wins, I think you got to give them the 5. Denver has a top 5 win and a top 10 win. They also have 4 top 20 wins. I think Denver has over Virginia as well. I think this is where you can start to fiddle with the RPI order. And then after that, I don't know if Cornell loses. Who the heck are you giving a home game to? Maryland still potentially. Yeah. So the seeding could get pretty interesting. The way it's shaking out. But again, Cornell comes back and wins. I think Cornell's got a home game locked up. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I'd like to see Hopkins to the 3 just because I think it allows for a little more, just kind of intrigue potentially. With breaking up those ACC teams. If you get a Virginia at 7 or 8, you could potentially have them go to an ACC team in a quarterfinal, or play ACC team in a quarterfinal, not go to. I think that could be something interesting. I say it every time. I can't believe we do this friggin' Kark and Charlotte North. It's like just. It really is glaring when there's other networks that air it, and you just see them just throwing just the most absolute cord cutting what is this budget slashing move possible, and you just see CBS Sports Center is interviewing Kevin Warren at halftime, and meanwhile, and Bobby Benson and the Big Ten, has the highlights and everything. It's like, wow, this is what it looks like when you just actually bother to care. It's really not that much of a expense if other networks do it. Duke winning in these jerseys feels disgusting, but also Syracuse's weren't much better, so. I'd say if you think maybe end of this Duke Cuse game, we'll sign off.
Yeah, I'm thinking like we can finish the Penn Cornell game offline.
Yeah, that'll be but we thank all of you who have joined us for tonight. Bear through it with us as the technical difficulties.
I thought it was going to go in. This is going to be a tough team. If this is the Duke team that comes in every game rest of the way, like we'll know Sunday. If they beat Notre Dame, then maybe give them the odds-on favorite to win it all. But
I would probably look this Duke team. I'd pick to win it all, but Edwin Cleveland Chad just said you guys are awesome. Thank you so much, buddy.
Appreciate
it. This Duke team I saw, I'd pick to win it all. The thing is, I don't trust that I'm going to get this Duke team every week. I trust what I'm going to get out of Notre Dame every week. I mean, this run Notre Dame's been on is incredible. They've lost what, like 3 games in the last 2 years. Since that loss to Maryland in 2022, they've lost. Only Virginia's beat Duke, or pardon me, no, Virginia and Georgetown. So they've lost. Yeah, like only 2 teams have beat this squad. So, the run they've been on is tremendous, and they're just really is. And we often use the term like peak. I mean, this is peak Notre Dame. Like it's an incredible run that they've been on. But would I feel confident in Duke? I mean, like I think Duke will probably get to a Final Four. I mean, I don't really have that. I feel like we saw it last year. After the Delaware game, like in the second half of that game, the Michigan game. The thing with Duke is their floor is so high. You have to be great to beat them. Like it's like they're so talented and they got a great goalie in Jamison now. And they're good at the faceoff dot. You got to be really good to beat them. That's. But it's hard to feel totally confident. All right, Safe. How about this? Before we sign off, let's go through these games tomorrow. Make some picks.
All right.
So we're starting off bright and early. Breakfast with the Mac. It'll be Sacred Heart in Manhattan tomorrow, 11 a.m. on ESPNU. Safe, who you got?
Jake, New York is back. Knicks beat my Sixers. I'm going with the Jaspers.
Jaspers are at home. The first meeting between these two teams was a 14-12 win for Sacred Heart at home. That was a tight one. Sacred Heart has been kind of getting closer for them kind of the last couple weeks as we kind of come down the stretch here. 1 goal win on the road of Quinnipiac, 1 goal win on the road of Canisius, and then beaten Siena by 2. Safe, I think I'm going to lean with you. I think I'm going to pick the Jaspers. Jaspers on their 3rd coach in like 3 years. I'm going to say they get to their 2nd NCAA tournament in the last 3 years. I think they pulled the upset over Sacred Heart at home.
You can't keep Manhattan down, Jake. Next contest, St. Joe's, Richmond. Been chatting about this a little bit, Jake. I think Ray does it, Jake. I know we've just been going about Shamati's time, but I'm going. I'm solidly with the St. Joe's, Jake. As you know, I never flip flop with my St. Joe's picks.
This is a St. Joe's podcast.
But last week, always had faith. I think they pulled it off. have the nation's longest winning streak
Yep.
right now. 11 games going in. I think they're really feeling themselves. I think they, saw that they could beat them, or they literally did earlier this on the 27th. I think they, it's hard to beat a good team twice, and I know Shamadi's like where they want to be, but I don't know. There's something about this St. Joe's team. I think they're going to keep it rolling, and I think they're going to win the A10.
Oh, man, God. So tough. I think St. Joe's has got a bit more kind of juice. I feel like game breakers on offense. I feel like that's our term of the show, game breakers. Like the guys who can kind of make plays late in the game. I feel like the key, Richmond, and like also I like St. Joe, like the ball movement too. Like they can. I like St. that game. The difference in that first game, for like late in the game, St. Joe's is able to manufacture offense through kind of moving the ball, and playing kind of team offense. Where Richmond got really into kind of 1v1 play. If like they really were trying to, and they did win matchups. Like Richmond did. And honestly, game breakers like honestly probably close with this one. Like you still got Dalton, you got Lance Madonna had a phenomenal game for Richmond on Thursday. I think St. Joe's has a bit more kind of like maybe team offense a little bit more likely for St. Joe's. So I'm gonna, and I think that's key. Face off, St. Joe's had the advantage as well. I'm gonna say I'm with you, Safe. I'm gonna take St. Joe's. I feel like I'm gonna end up regretting this completely tomorrow, but I'm going to take the Hawks as well. All right, 3 p.m. ESPNU, Albany and Vermont.
Aside from last year, it's been like Vermont's conference for the last 3 years. But something about this Albany team, Jake, obviously an ugly incident with Merrimack, not something that you want to see at all. But I think maybe had a galvanizing type of impact on Albany. That is absolutely Merrimack in the rematch. I think we were just talking about Nadlin. Maybe this is his return to form. Maybe Marr back in after a string of
couple year options. Yeah, was it 5 years? I think same with Nadlin. Yeah, 2019 or no? Were they in 2019, or was the last time for them Was the last time for them really the Final Four?
I feel like it.
They've had a couple
after the Final one. I don't think they really.
No, yeah, the Final Four is the last time Albany was in the tournament.
So. Like I said, I think maybe they're just playing with a little bit with house money. They're feeling good, right around right period of time, maybe picking at the right point of time the season. And like I said, that whatever the not something that you want to happen, obviously. The incident with Merrimack, but potentially galvanize them, made them get a little bit more together as a team, and at a point in the season where that kind of little bit of edge can help carry a team to a conference tournament. So Albany is going to go on, and Marr's going to bring the Great Danes back to the NCAA tournament.
Both teams coming in playing well. Albany, 6-goal win over Merrimack, 8-goal win over Binghamton, 11-goal win over Merrimack. The last wins in Big America East play, have all been by at least 5 goals to beat NJIT by 5 before they lost the Yale game. The first game between these teams was close. Vermont's coming in on a 4-game win streak as well. Beat Bryant by 4, UMass Lowell by 9, and then a couple of close ones over UMBC. I don't know. I think of this one, I might lean towards just kind of the experience Vermont has. This team over the last couple of years been in the tournament, and obviously, has kind of had the edge in this conference. Albany upset them last year in the semifinals. I'm going to say Vermont does the pulls the trick this time, and I'll take the Catamounts. I'd say 3:30 CAA championship, big one. Towson, 8-game win streak, going up against the Blue Hens. Blue Hens trying to make it 3 in a row trips to the NCAA tournament. Towson trying to end a 5-year drought. Safe.
I'm not moving, Jake. I'm sticking with the Tigers. I'm going in. I think Allen's like really has something this year. Like their offense, following them throughout the year. Kind of been a perennial top 20 team on pretty much the cross commission ballot. It felt like they were like stuck at 14 for like the last 6 or 7 weeks. I think it continues on. I think it's return to the tournament for the Tigers, and I think Nyland captures his another CAA, first one in a little while, obviously. But I think they're going to pull it off. I'm not budging. I'm going with I stuck with the Tigers. I'm staying with them.
I'm going to go with Towson as well. Tigers back in the tournament. I just I like those guys on offense, man. They got some real studs. I think those guys are the difference. Late in the game, if between I think two, be a close matchup between these two teams. And I like Towson's ability, to put the ball in a multitude of different guys' hands to make some plays. And I like Luke Downswell in net. He made some big saves for Towson late in that game. I'm gonna say the Tigers at home. Should be a good crowd. Don't think I'll be able to make it, unfortunately, but should be, I think, a great crowd there. And I think we'll be seeing the Tigers back in the tournament fold next weekend over Delaware. Then safe, we got Big East Championship, 5 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Can Nova pull the ultimate kind of Cinderella run here at home, or is it 6 in a row for the Hoyas?
As Keith Dark Knight said, 6. No, that's what I think is going to happen again, Jake. The Georgetown, I'm sure, is not going to overlook Villanova. But I think if you got it, if you're Warren, you have to feel like pretty good with your chances against the Wildcats. Nova, as you noted, had a pretty decent game against Denver earlier on in the season. So maybe this tournament upset didn't come out of nowhere. But against the Hoyas earlier in the year, Nova failed, which was on April 26th, turning that around with a 48-hour window, if that, to take down the 5-time perennial champions of the Big East. Warren does it again, get back into the tournament. I don't know if you want to call them as a dark horse or anything, but I don't know really if you want to play Georgetown.
Maybe it depends on the match. They really feel like a dependent on the matchup type team.
Exactly.
Right, because I think the right team Warren could screw up your life,
And who knows? Notre Dame wins in the ACC tournament, and Georgetown's the only team to have beaten Notre Dame. Maybe that drags them to a home game. Maybe that's the 8th team, Jake, for home. Maybe
home game would be huge for them. I don't know if it's likely, but potentially we'll see if Penn can get in this. Penn wins the Ivy, that helped Georgetown a lot. If they win the Big East, because that would have another additional win for them. I think they really feel like matchup dependent if they get in. Kind of, you have to tell me if the right team, I could maybe see them making a quarterfinal run. Either way, I think this is a feather in the cap for Warren if they get in. They lost a lot from last year. This wasn't going to be a look. It's like not every year can be your year. Not every year it's the right team to make a Final Four run. And obviously, look, the last couple years for Georgetown, they probably certainly you could argue 2022 probably should have been, and they missed that opportunity. Last year was a really great season for them. They will have another shot at making a Final Four with the young guys they have on this team. But that's the key. You lose a lot from last year. You have a young team. Keep the standard rolling. Get back in the tournament for what will be a 6th year in a row. I think they will do that. I think this was a blowout last week. I don't think it'll be a blowout here. I mean, I think Nova will be in it. I just think Georgetown's got kind a few more answers. I think than Denver kind of offense. Like Aiden Carroll was phenomenal. Georgetown scored 7 goals on Thursday. I just kind of like their ability. A few more answers. I think they're defensively. They'll be tough to score on as well. So I'm gonna go with the Hoyas. Make it 6 in a row Big East tournament. And that brings us to our final game. Safe prime time. Prime time. The big one. Big Ten championship. Michigan. Can they do it again? Be the chaos agent of College lacrosse, or can Penn State win their second Big Ten tournament title and really put themselves in a potential primo position for next week?
I'm going with Michigan, Jake. I know Penn State kind of not manhandled them, but they weren't pretty comfortable. 14-8, and that was a game I also had picked Michigan in that one. That was at Panzer. Not that Penn State needs to be in the comfy confines of Nittany, Happy Valley to win a game, but I think on the road you're having they played the second game of a pretty late starting semifinal game, so maybe that catches up to them a little bit. Maybe Michigan just has a slightly fresher legs. Maybe that came into play last year. I don't know for sure one way or another, but I think Michigan is a different team in the Big Ten tournament, at least for this year, last year. Just the way they're just able to really kind of perform when the lights are brightest, and I like I said, super impressed with what they did to Hopkins. Just absolutely manhandled the Jays, got them out of their rhythm, just bullied them. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with Penn State, given that they have such an efficient offense and they're really good with the passing. And PJ is kind of hard to just shackle. But I think they're going to have a good. I think they're going to have a good chance. And like I said, maybe that little bit of a window playing earlier than Penn State played, maybe that also helps them. So I'm going with the Nittany Lions.
You mean Wolverines? You're going with?
Oh, sorry, forgive me. Jesus. I'm going
I'll go with the Nittany Lions. I mean, I don't know, Michigan. It feels like they got they could do it again. But I really like where Penn State's playing right now. I just think they're a team hitting their stride, playing their best lacrosse, and I think it will take a better effort for Michigan than they had on Thursday, I think, to win this game. But I do think it'll be a great game. I think Michigan will come with a lot of intensity, physicality, but I think Penn State can match that. I think the way they're playing, they've got confidence right now. I think offensively they're really dangerous. I think that's key. I just don't know if Michigan's going to be able to hold Penn State down on offense the way they did to Hopkins. So I'm going to take Penn State. Listen, all love and the Wolverines. I picked Michigan to win the Big Ten tournament last year. So, they could definitely do it again, and it would make things just absolute chaotic for sure. But I'm going to say that it'll be Penn State who pulled off the upset, or maybe not the upset rather, but maybe kind of an upset run potentially to the Big Ten championship. But Michigan, look, heck, they're not totally out of it with at large cases small, but if Penn wins here, look, they beat Hopkins and they beat Maryland, so don't count the Wolverines totally. Even if they lose, that would be a tough sledding. So last two safe. Let's just quickly the A-Sun will be Jacksonville versus Utah. Safe for you.
The Utes, Jake. Maybe it was a long, winding road to this point, but this is where I always thought Utah was going to end up. So
I'm sticking with them. Utah will return to the NCAA tournament. for the big man and his bunch. Yeah.
Definitely not the route that I expected for the Utes, and probably not for themselves either. But they're right where they want to be, and I think they're going to pull it off.
Yeah, Utah has won. Trying to get the numbers here. Since McMinn got to Utah, they've won 3 in a row over Jacksonville. I think it'll continue. I'll take Utah on that one. Safe Duke Notre Dame. Just ride with it. Do it. Give me the call.
Duke, yeah, this Duke shows up again. Duke.
It feels so fitting for Duke to just dominate and then come out and go back. I'll take Notre Dame.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I can't pick Duke, man. I can't. I don't know. BU Lehigh safe.
You know what? BU.
Yeah, I'll go BU as well.
Definitely.
All right, folks. Last part, bracketology update from Mark in the chat. The bubble is alive. 3 Ivies plus Michigan for 1 spot if Penn wins.
I'd love to see it.
So
musical chairs back at it.
Yes, indeed. We will be back here Sunday night, live on YouTube. Look out for a link. Subscribe. Make sure, please, if you can, like and subscribe. I hear that whatever the algorithms, I guess it does good. So if you can like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the Crosse Commission channel on YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated. We appreciate all of you who have been with us tonight, always with us. You guys are the best. Yes, we will be back Sunday night here on YouTube at probably what's the selection so safe 9:30.
Yeah, a little bit late, right?
Yeah, so we'll be here either 8:45, 9 o'clock. We'll run down all the possibilities, kind of how it'll shake out. We'll kind of touch on some of the results from the weekend, and then we will be with you as the selection show takes place. So that's where we'll be. Make sure you join us. Always been a great tradition. Keep it going. This time on YouTube. So make sure you join us here. Should be good in terms of like tech. No tech. The last couple years of Spaces, we've had some tech issues. Shouldn't be an issue here. We had a brief one tonight, but other than that, we were all in the clear, smooth sailing. So thank you very much, folks, for joining us. It's been a great evening. Crazy results, and we'll see if it holds with Penn Cornell down the stretch. Enjoyed that game. We're at Twitter at college_cross. Safe, where you at?
At Erie_barrister.
I'm at Jake_Razan. It'll be a hot one this week. It's been a hot one the last couple of days. So be a hot one this weekend. Becky Lynch for president, and we will see you Sunday night. Take care, folks.